What's good, YouTube? My name is Coach, and in today's video, we're going to be ranking the best and the worst commanders in the recently released Commander Legends live stream. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We have over 200 videos on the channel. We had 50 subscribers as of February, and now we have over 600 subscribers on the channel, and it's all due to the great people that we have in the community over here. We have a Discord, and within the Discord, people work together to build commander decks. So if you're someone who's looking to learn how to build commander decks, there are people in the Discord waiting to help you. And if you're someone that knows how to build commander decks and is good at teaching people patiently and respectfully, then you can go into the Discord and you can help people to build commander decks if that's something you find fun to do. As always, a huge shout out and thank you to everyone who subscribes and likes the videos. I'm genuinely appreciative of everything that you do. Thank you so much. Listen, we're either going to rank these commanders as best or worst. You are more than welcome to share your opinion in the comment section below so you can let everyone in the community know what you think about these commanders. Write it in a way that's respectful because there are kids that watch this channel. Thank you. The first commander that we have here is Volo. I don't know how to say that word. Scholar. When Volo enters the battlefield, create Volo's Journal, a legendary colorless artifact token with hexproof, and whenever you cast a creature spell, note one of its creature types that hasn't been noted for this artifact. Pay 2 mana and tap to draw a card for each creature type noted for target permanent you control named Volo's Journal. What's interesting with this commander is that it says you have to create a legendary colorless artifact token. And this token essentially allows you... Ooh, this is really interesting actually. Because essentially what this commander is saying is that you get to create something that based on however many creature types it has, you can draw that many cards. I think we all understand that. But if you make a copy of Volo, you technically could activate that artifact twice. Because Volo's being tapped to draw cards, not the actual artifact itself. If you can make multiple copies of Volo, essentially you could get multiple draw triggers off of Volo's Journal, which I think sounds pretty cool. I think that sounds really fun. I'm gonna give Volo, that word, Scholar, a best. I think this is one of the best commanders that was recently released. I think this the art style looks great. We have the same mustache, so it's best. Just so all of you are aware, they recently released these legendary enchantments called backgrounds that act like commanders in a sense. However, we're just going to talk about legendary creatures today. If you want a video specifically about backgrounds, let me know by commenting in the comment section below. The commander we're going to be focusing on right now is Ellen Harbree's Busybody. She reads, look at the top X cards of your library where X is the number of tokens you created this turn. You activate that by tapping the creature. Put one of those cards into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. You know, mono white has a ton of spells where you can pay 3 or 4 mana to just put 3 or 4 creature tokens into play, whether they're soldiers, whether they're dogs, whether they're anything really. Baldar's Retreat. You know, I like this card. I think this card's pretty cool. I think being able to just draw cards is nice. You know, you look at 7, pick 1. I think that's pretty cool. I would be happy with looking at 3, picking 1. I think if you could find ways to untap Ellen to get multiple triggers, I think that would be pretty powerful. So Ellen, we're going to say is one of the best. The next commander we have over here is Lulu, Loyal Hollyphant, in the bottom left. At the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you control left the battlefield this turn, put a +1/+1 counter on each tapped creature you control, then untap them. Oh. You gotta figure out a way to tap down your creatures. Oh, you know what would be really interesting? Yo, this would be kind of rude. There are cards in mono white that you could tap to force your opponent to tap down their creature. So essentially you could build a deck filled with a bunch of these creatures that tap to tap down your opponent's things, then to flicker something or just like play an artifact or enchantment that causes things to flicker to bring it back. which will then cause you to untap all your things so that you can just, even if your opponents go to their untap step and untap, you can just tap them all down again and then buff your creatures at the same time. Wow, one of the best. Very fun commander. I really think Lulu is a great card. Next commander we have Abdel Adrian Gorian's Ward. When Abdel Adrian enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until Abdel Adrian leaves the battlefield. Create a 1/1 soldier creature token for each permanent exile this way. Best. You could basically set up a thing where you have creatures that enter the battlefield and do things. You could then have Abdel enter the battlefield, turn them into soldiers, and then flicker Abdel so that he goes away. Those things enter the battlefield again. You get whatever they do. Abdel enters the battlefield and turns those creatures on the battlefield into soldiers, and then you have this thing that's just consistently going back and forth. One of the best. I think this card seems really cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing how people build around that commander. I think that looks really cool. If Abdel had Flash, I think that would be even better, because then he would kind of act like a way to save your permanents or protect your permanents. But I still think it sounds like a pretty fun card. The next commander that we have over here is Cerebac Deathbringer. He reads, at the beginning of each player's end step, if no permanents left the battlefield this turn, that player loses X life, where X is Cerebac's power. That's a pretty cool commander. I mean, I'm gonna immediately say he's one of the best. I think that it's not, people are generally not wanting their permanents to leave the battlefield, and I'm not sure how often that happens in a game of Commander. To just deal 3 damage at the end of a turn, I think works. Even if people start to play around that and they're basically like, oh, well, I'm going to attack into you, you block with this creature so that my creature leaves the battlefield so I don't take damage from Cerebac. People can start, and you're still, I think it's a win-win. You know, you're getting your opponents to lose things on their board, depending on the situation, obviously. And if they don't, then they're going to take damage. And if you buff Cerebac with equipment, swords, you know, I'm imagining equipping Cerebac with the Black Blade, and now he has the Black Blade and people are losing 10 life. Definitely one of the best. Fun commander. I don't know if I'm going to build him, but I have commander decks that I think he would work in. So next commander we have here is Halsen Emerald Archdruid. Until the end of turn, target creature token, not even. Until the end of turn, target token you control becomes a green bear creature with base power and toughness 4/4 in addition to its other colors and types. Guys, I still think this is one of the best, guys. I just think turning a token you control, it could be a food token, this could be a treasure token, this could be any token, really. And now it's a 4/4 creature, a 4/4 bear. Guys, I think this is a great commander. You have another bear tribal commander potentially here. I think this is a great card. I'm gonna say, so far all the commanders have been part of the best. I really like these commanders. I think these commanders are very interesting and they seem really fun. I mean, you can use that ability to play defensively, or you can use that ability to play offensively, you know. And if you have any anthems in play, those 4/4s can easily be, you know, 5/5s, you know, just a ton of power. Mirrorgonda Petroglyphs in play. You can have a big, powerful group of creatures. And if you have a ton of tokens in play, and they're treasure tokens or you know, food, you know, at the end of your turn, they just go back into being food. So now your opponent, they survive board wipes because they're just tokens, they're just artifacts. So I think, wow, I think that's a really fun commander. I think I'm gonna build that commander. I really do. Halsen, one of the best. I'm gonna build that commander. That sounds really fun. So we have 3 more multicolored commanders over here. We're gonna start all the way on the left with Liara. It says, whenever you attack, spells you cast from exile this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of players being attacked. Exile top X cards of your library. Until the end of turn, you may cast spells from among those exiled cards. So it's basically Boros aggro, but with sort of card advantage, which I think is cool. The spell slinging Boros aggro. I think you know, if you get multiple combats, that would sound pretty interesting as well. This is one of the best. I think that card sounds great. Sounds like really fun to play. Next commander we have is OG, the Exquisite Blade. When OG enters the battlefield, gain 2 life and use Scry 2. Cool. Whenever you cast your second spell each turn, exile up to 1 target creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. I mean, if I look at this, I still think this commander can be cool. The thing about OG, I'm not sure how easy it is for a person to cast 2 spells every single turn. If I'm being honest, I haven't really played a commander deck that's looking to cast multiple spells every single turn. Maybe Feather. Feather is the most commander deck that I had that acts like that the most. So this is going to be outside of the realm of my understanding. So if you're someone that plays commander decks like that, you can tell me how easy it is to activate OG's ability. But for now, I still think that just because I don't know doesn't mean that other people can't find a way to do it. So I bet there are people out there that can make OG really powerful. So I'm gonna still say OG is one of the best. Maybe I'm a little low on OG as a part of being one of the best, mostly because I don't know how I would play that, but I'm sure somebody would, and it seems like a good card. I mean, gaining life on a flicker effect on your commander in the command zone seems like a pretty fun thing to do. The next commander we have is Rilsa Royal Kingpin. His Death Touch. When Rilsa enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. Whenever you attack, target attacking creature gains Death Touch until the end of turn. If you've completed a dungeon, that creature also gets +5/+0, gains First Strike and Menace until the end of turn. It seems like a very aggressive commander. I'm pretty sure Take the Initiative has something to do with like the dungeon mechanic, and I'm not too familiar with that, to be honest. If you're not sure what initiative is either, you can somebody will write it in the comment section below and you can read that. I just see giving a creature +5/+0 menace. Menace is some type of evasion. It's not unblockable, but it's still some type of evasion. So I would imagine giving a creature infect and then just +5/+0 just like that because you completed a dungeon. I think that, yeah, that seems like a pretty fun thing to do. I'm still gonna say Rilsa is still one of the best. The next commander that we have here is Elminster. Costs 5 mana. Whenever you scry, the next instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn costs X less to cast, where X is the number of cards looked at while scrying this way. You can uptick him by 2 to draw a card and then scry 2, or you can -3 to exile top card of your library and then create a number of 1/1 dragons tokens with flying equal to that card's mana value. I mean, the -3 is going to help to protect him because they are tokens with flying. You know, there are 1/1s, so, you know, playing a spell like Day of Dragons to turn all of those tokens into just 5/5 flying dragons would be pretty intense. I think that Elminster is definitely one of the best. You know, he's drawing you cards, he's scrying, and he protects himself, and he reduces the cost of spells. Best. Probably the best one so far. The next commander we have here is Merkel, Lord of Bones. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, Merkel, Lord of Bones has Indestructible. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that card, except that it's an enchantment, it loses all other card types. So essentially, you just want to take creatures that have cool abilities and just have them go away so that you can exile it to create a token that's a copy of it, so you keep the ability that's on the card. You know, first card that comes to my mind is Butcher of Malakir. Play a Butcher of Malakir, remove it from the game, and now you basically just have a token copy of Grave Pact on the battlefield. I think that's great. I think this card is so cool. I think that you could do so much with this card. I think that this is totally one of the best. Guys, this is a running theme with this video right now where all of these commanders are great, fantastic cards. This is such a cool commander. The next commander we have here is Lavon, Cultist of Tiamat. It says, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, target creature gets +X/+0 until the end of turn, where X is that spell's mana value. Okay, that's cool. I still think it's one of the best. I'm not sure if it ranks near the top because You know, a creature gets +X+0. Creature would need like some sort of evasion. Maybe you play this with a bunch of dragons to buff them as they go in for flying damage. You know, you just play spells that give you treasure tokens so you can cast more spells, and it says whenever you cast a non-creature spell. If you can somehow figure out a way to go infinite, you could essentially infinitely buff a creature. Yeah, I think this card's great, guys, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, one of the best, guys. Great card. The next commander we have here is Lauzon, Dragon's Legacy. 5 mana flying. Whenever you cast an adventure spell or dragon spell, Lauzon, Dragon's Legacy deals damage equal to that spell's mana value equal to any target that isn't a commander. I'm not too sure how powerful adventure spells are going to be. I know dragon spells are generally strong. You're in blue and red. I'm not too sure how much mana you're going to be able to make in blue and red to cast many of these in one turn. I would say that this Lauzon is one of the worst. It's not a bad card by any stretch of the imagination, but based on all the cards that we've seen, I think we finally won that qualifies to be among the worst inside the set. So we have Laizelle. I'm not going to pronounce that word. Champion. If you would put one or more counters on a creature or planeswalker you control, or on yourself, put that many +1 of each of those kinds of counters on that permanent or player instead. Shield counters. Anytime you can just make extra tokens or counters of anything, even if it's just one, there's got to be a really cool way people can manipulate this to become powerful. So I think that, and at 3 mana, a 3-mana 3/3 as well, I think this is a good card. This is among the best. It's a good card. And the art looks amazing, especially one on the right. The next commander we have here is Faceless One. Respectfully, nobody's going to play this card. The next card we have here is Baba Lasaga Night Witch. It says sacrifice up to 3 permanents. If there were 3 or more card types among the sacrificed permanents, each opponent loses 3 life, you gain 3 life, and you draw 3 cards. This commander is a 3/3, and you pay 3 mana to get it into play. I'm not too familiar with how easy it's going to get a permanent onto the battlefield with multiple types to then sacrifice that to then put that back into play. It seems like many hoops that you have to jump through. I'm sure that somebody out there does know, and if you know, you can leave it in the comment section below. I just think that it's a bit complicated. I really like the effect, and if you could trigger this multiple times in one turn, maybe with the Seedborn Muse, as people are taking their own turns, you're doing this again, I could see it being powerful, but I don't know how often. It seems like a commander that you play the game and you build a certain board state, and you get to a point where you need to draw 3 cards, so you play a Baba, and then you go around the table, and then you sacrifice your permanents to draw some cards. It doesn't seem like something where I play Baba Lasaga on turn 3 because I'm going to be able to use her ability right away. Still I would say among the worst. I think this is pretty difficult to build around, but mostly based off of my lack of information. Just easily, if I knew, I could sit here and say this is one of the best, but I don't know. Raphael, Fiendish Savior, flying 4/4 for 5 mana. Other demons, devils, imps, and tieflings you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. Cool. At the beginning of each end step, if a creature card was put into your graveyard from anywhere this turn, create a 1/1 red devil creature token with whenever this creature dies, it deals 1 damage to any target. I think lifelink demons, flying demons having lifelink is a problem. That's a problem. That's pretty cool. I mean, you could just play Demon Tribal Reanimator, and you basically have a copy of the Whip of Erebos in the command zone for 1 more mana. That has flying and can deal 4 damage as well. So I think this card is great. I think this is among one of the best. I think Demon Tribal, there's so many ways to tutor in Demon Tribal specifically. So I just think that this deck, if built correctly, could be pretty powerful. Good card. You have Gorion, Wise Mentor. Vigilance. Whenever you cast an adventure spell, you may copy it. You may choose new targets for the copy. I'm just going to say one of the worst right away. I think from the adventure spells that I know that exist now, I don't think they really do anything too powerfully. If they print powerful adventure spells, then I'm gonna sit here and I'm gonna tell you that this is a great card. But I just think that adventure spells, up to my knowledge, just tend to be generic effects. So this worst for now, we'll say. Among the worst for now. We have Mazzy, True Sword Paladin. Whenever an enchanted creature attacks one of your opponents, it gets +2/+0 and gains trampled until the end of turn. Whenever an aura you control is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, exile it. Until the end of your next turn, you may cast that card. Oh, among the best. Wow, this is a great commander here, guys. +2/+0 and trample. An enchanted creature. Guys, I already kind of built a deck for like that on the channel with Gahiji as the commander, but this is such a better card. Yeah, Mazzy, one of the best. Wow, what a great card. We have Gale, Waterdeep Prodigy. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast up to one target card of the other type from your graveyard. If a spell cast from your graveyard this way, we put into your graveyard, exile it instead. Yeah, I think whenever we're talking about casting spells, I'm gonna say automatically he's one of the best. I mean, depending on the spells that you have, that you're casting from your hand, and then the other ones that you have in your graveyard, if you mill, essentially your graveyard becomes your hand. Gale only costs 3 mana to play, so you can get him into the game relatively early. I think this is a really good card. I would not advise that a person who's brand new to Commander or Magic the Gathering play this commander. I think that there's going to be a lot involved with playing this commander. There's a lot of thinking, so don't play it if you're a new player. But other than that, I think for more experienced players, I think this card is going to be really fun. Definitely one of the best. Asterion the Decadent. Death Touch, Lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, choose one. Feed, target opponent loses life equal to the amount of life they lost this turn. And then friends, you gain life equal to the amount of life you gain this turn. So it's completely dependent upon you gaining life and an opponent losing life. I immediately think of Sanguine Bond and Exquisite Blood. This is just a really easy way to do something and then get your opponents to trigger either Sanguine Bond or Exquisite Blood to then just win the game. But I think having a commander that's kind of dependent upon things to happen in order for the abilities to trigger seems kind of weak, and before you go to your end step, somebody could just remove Asterion and then nobody loses life anymore. So I think cool, among the worst. Compared to the other ones, this is one of the worst. It's a cool card, but we have Dyna Hair, Invoker Adept. 4/4, 4 mana haste. You may activate abilities of other creatures you control as though they had haste. When you next activate an ability this turn by spending 4 or more mana to activate it, copy that ability. Guys, one of the best. This card's crazy good. This card's super cool. Guys, there are wizards in the game that you exile cards from your hand, you put the wizard into play, and then you can pay mana to tap the wizard to cast the spell. I think this is a really cool card. One of the best. We have Baal, Lord of Murder. As long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, Baal is indestructible. Which technically that could become relevant later in a game of Commander, man. To have all of a sudden the game's close, it's 1v1, and now all of a sudden your commander's indestructible. Or like you're bringing your opponent's life total down, and you're like, oh well, that's kind of a meta thing, because now I have to remove Baal before his life total goes down. The Baal player may do something to make his life total go down, so that he's indestructible. That's really interesting. I like that play mechanic. It says whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature and goad it. So I think that seems pretty cool in a game where I'm gonna say one of the worst. I just don't think that in a 1v1 situation, goad kind of does nothing. And the only thing you'll be doing is forcing your own creatures to attack if you choose your creatures to be the ones that are attacking. It doesn't really give any evasion either. It doesn't have trample, it doesn't have flying, it doesn't have anything other than potentially indestructible. So I don't know. I see this commander being fun because goad is fun. I just don't know if you get down to like the last 2 people in the game, if Baal ball in particular is going to be the reason why that puts you over the edge. He may make the game go by faster, right, with the goad ability, but I just think that I just don't see how it just seems generic. So definitely among the worst. We have Captain Gethrod. It says horror pirate. Horrors you control have menace. Whenever you horror you control deals combat damage to a player, that player mills that many cards. At the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact or creature card in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the library this turn. Put it onto the battlefield under your control. Guys, what? This is 5 mana? Guys, this gives your horrors menace, so it gives them evasion. When they deal damage, they have to mill that many cards. It says, at the beginning of your end step, choose target artifact, not even just creatures, artifacts and creatures in an opponent's graveyard that was put there from the library this turn. You don't even have to deal damage with the horrors. You could just have them mill. It doesn't say specifically due to a horror dealing damage to them, giving you that restriction. It just says put it onto the battlefield under your control. Fantastic card. That card is so strong. Next commander we have here is Faldorn Dreadwolf Herald. Whenever you cast a spell from exile or a land enters the battlefield under your control from exile, a land entering the battlefield under your control from exile, create a 2/2 green wolf creature token. You pay 1 mana to discard a card, exile the top card of your library, you may play it this turn. Yeah, that seems interesting. I'm gonna say that it's definitely a cool card. I don't think that it's deserves to be among one of the best. Like, Captain, my dude over there, Captain, that's a strong card. This one, I can see it being aggressive, but I just don't know how. I mean, you're in colors to be aggro. You can do trample, you can do haste, you know, you have access to anthems, you can buff your creatures. So don't get me wrong, like, this card's gonna win a lot of games. Like, it's simple enough to where, like, Faldorn if I have 5 wolves in play and cast an overrun, that's, you know, 5 times 5, that's 25 trample damage. That's a good card, but I just don't think that it deserves to be amongst the best. So I'm gonna say strong worst. You know what? Faldorn's a good card, man. Faldorn only costs 3 mana. I'm gonna say Faldorn's among the best, actually. I'm gonna change my mind. The next commander that we have here is Furkrag, Cunning Instigator, 5 mana flying haste, 3/3. Whenever 1 or more dragons you control attack an opponent, so upon attack, go target creature that player controls. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, if that creature had to attack this combat, you put a +1/+1 counter on Furkrag and you draw a card. Is it Furkrag or Furkrog? Not too sure. You draw a card, which is cool. I mean, Dragon Tribal. I mean, you draw a card off of that goad if it deals damage. Among the worst. 5 mana flying, 3/3. There could be better cards. Next commander we have here is Nalia Darnice. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard spells from the top of your library. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if you have a full party, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control, and those creatures gain death touch until the end of turn. Guys, I'm not too sure how powerful this is going to be, just because I'm not too sure how easy it is for someone to assemble a full party. So if Nalia's on the battlefield, you still need a Cleric, a Warrior, and a Wizard, which is 3 more creatures. And by turn 3, I'm not sure how quickly you're going to be able to assemble that and then keep that on the board. So I'm going to say Nalia is one of the worst. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's all the commanders that have been released so far. So if you're interested in videos like this, you can let me know by liking the video and subscribing to the YouTube channel. If you have any thoughts, you can leave it in the comment section below. I know they're releasing more videos like this in the future, so if you would like to join us while these videos are live, you can join the Discord by clicking the link in the description below, and I'll put a notification when the community is going to go live and watch this video so you can join us and we all can just hang out and just talk about Commander. I always end these videos the same way. Always remember, eat healthy, okay? Work out every single day. Most importantly, you gotta believe in yourself, right? Peace out, people.